AM 590, KXSP Omaha's ESPN Radio. It's time for the Metro's only racing talk show. The Front Stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Now, here's Dan Taylor and Buddy Ray.
And welcome to it, race fans. I am Dan Taylor, sitting alongside my good friend and my pit boss at Crawford County Speedway, filling in for Buddy Ray. It's PJ Pedersen. PJ, how you doing, big guy?
Good morning, everybody. Doing good. A little bit early, but hey, we're up. We're, somewhat bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and ready to go.
Hey, I'm ready to roll. I've been ready to roll since about 4 o'clock this morning when I woke up and thought, can I do the show yet? Can I do the show yet? Can I do the show yet? We got a big show lined up for you today. Turn number 1, we're going to try to go through some of the recaps of results from Southwest Iowa and Nebraska. Trying to get Stan Caesar on the phone to talk Eagle Raceway. Results from last night. We'll see if he's able to give us a call during turn number 1. We'll talk Crawford County Speedway. We'll talk Shelby County Speedway. We got other races we're going to be able to get in there? Or is it going to be those 3?
No, we have so much more. We have so much great stuff coming up in turns 2, 3, and 4. I think that's pretty much going to kill turn 1.
And speaking of that, turn number 2, we're going to talk with Rusty Wallace. A big interview for us. And actually, I don't know if I want to say a big interview. That was probably the easiest interview I've ever done. And we talked about it on the way over here. All you do is just ask the guy one simple, quick question, and he takes it for the next 3.5, 4 minutes.
And it's like you had pointed out yesterday. You can ask him the dumbest question, like, why do stock cars run on 4 round tires instead of 4 square blocks? And he'll be like, you know what? That's a very good question. Let me explain to you why.
And that was one of the questions I actually did end up asking, and he made me sound smart. I took that out of the question. I took that edited out, though. Turn number 3, we've got Brendan Gaughan, driving the number 62, Richard Childress Racing, stock car for the Nationwide Series. He qualified 10th for today's race at Iowa Speedway. I'm pretty sure he was P10.
I'll double check during the break.
And then also Dylan Kwasniewski, we've got an interview from him, an up-and-coming driver, obviously, in the Nationwide Series, getting his break. And a lot of experience with that kid, a K&N East and West champion, and then now he's up into the Nationwide Series, and he's got a developmental deal with Ganassi Racing. Definitely has a very bright future. Turn number 4, we're going to get Jimmy Smalll, president of Iowa Speedway, on the in the room with us, to discuss exactly what you're going to miss out on if you don't get here today for the Get to Know Newton 250 at Iowa Speedway. It's going to be an absolutely beautiful day, an absolutely beautiful time. We've wasted enough time entering the show. Let's talk about race results, and I'll start off at Crawford County Speedway on Friday night. Just your winners, Eric Schneckloth from Ida Grove took home the win in the Sport Compacts on his birthday night. So congratulations to Eric. In the hobby stocks, Justin Neering got the win. I was kind of surprised Jason Cole, who is very good and has that car very well hooked up in the 27, not really able to challenge for the win. Justin did very well getting through traffic. I think he started about mid-pack and ends up getting the win. For your sport mods, no surprise here, Logan Scott gets the victory out of Votable, Iowa. Another victory on the season for Logan. For your stock cars, it's Mike Nichols going 3 for 3 at Crawford County Speedway. And again, going 3 for 3, the Crazy 99 out of Glenwood, Iowa. Jesse Sobbing gets his 3rd straight victory at Crawford County on their season.
Second verse, same as the first.
Yeah.
And the second and third.
Let's go the next night. Same story, though. A lot of your repeat winners on the season at Shelby County Speedway.
Well, yeah, Shelby County Speedway Sport Compacts, it was a brother act again. Kay Malberg second, but Shannon Malberg got the win. That's pretty much been the way it's been. They've been trading it back and forth. Jason Fuzzelman picked up the hobby stock feature. Congratulations to him.
Yeah, good for Jason.
The 777 of Cody Olson, who was rolled it 2 weeks ago, comes back and wins the sport mod feature. Surprise, surprise. The 63 of Mike Nichols wins it in the stock cars. Late models, nice to see Jeff Sigabart pulled out the victory. And a little bit of controversy in the modifieds. Chris Abelson actually won the race, but then was DQ'd for coming across the scales too light, which handed the victory to the Crazy 99 Jesse Sobbing. Go figure that one.
Yeah, no kidding. And then let's talk about the results last night from the Sprint All-Star race.
Wow.
I hate to say it, I'm a little shocked that Jamie Mack gets the win, but congratulations to Jamie. He is cashing the big check from NASCAR.
I'm more than just a little shocked. It's nothing against his talent, but I'm more than just a little shocked. And Harvick could not track him back down.
Now, and Harvick had a great car. There was a lot of cars out there that had a great car, but who was it? Casey Kane ended up I guess he got into some oil and pancaked the side of his car, ending his night.
After winning 2 segments.
A rough night for those guys. So, it's Jamie Mack gets the win, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Casey Kane. Excuse me, that's the wrong results. Never mind. Scratch that. Jamie Mack gets the win. And really, at the All-Star race, that's the only one that matters.
Well, and Harvick was second. I know Kenseth was third. Yep. And Junior was fourth. Beyond that, I'm not really too sure. But, at least top 4. Congratulations to them.
So that was the All-Star race. Unfortunately, we didn't get to see it because we were watching the NASCAR K&N Series here at Iowa Speedway. If you missed it last night, I'm not going to say you missed one of the best races. You missed a pretty good race because it's like Rusty's going to talk about in Turn 2. The way he designed this track was that it's a multi-groove track because it's multi-angles. It's 12 degrees, 13 degrees, and 14 degrees, which adds for multiple lanes of racing. And it makes for good racing because you're able to actually have 2 grooves, which leads to passing, and which is something we lack sometimes.
And, we managed to sneak into the exclusive Newton Club. Don't tell the staff here, but, we actually got to watch the race from the Newton Club. Great seats. And I'll tell you right now, it was actually a really good race. Ben Rhodes, who is a K&N East Series regular, because if you'll remember, the 2 races at Iowa they do every year are East and West together. Mm-hmm. He ended up picking up the victory in the Casey's General Stores 150, and he is currently your points leader in the East Series, so congratulations to him.
Oh, and there was a lot of cars on hand. I was actually really surprised. I didn't get a formal count of how many cars were on hand for last night's show, but what would you estimate? Probably right around 35, 40 cars for the K&N Series?
I want to say there was either 38 to 40 that actually took the green flag.
So there was a lot of cars out there that because, when you only have like 15, 20 cars, it gets so spread out. There's not a lot of action going on. But there was plenty of action all throughout the field. And I'll tell you what, there was plenty of action at the bar. We talked about a Friday night at Denison. If you haven't gone to Iowa Speedway's Facebook page, scroll down a little ways, and they've released their new menu items at the concessions. And one of them is this Bootleggers Lemonade. Templeton Rye and Lemonade mix. Holy cow.
And there was a little triple sec in there too. I indulged in one last night, and I'm telling you, wow, amazing drink.
I'm not a lemonade fan, but I could tell you were enjoying it. As we were walking out after the K&N race last night, there was plenty of people enjoying it.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely
huge
delicious menu item. And then last night, so much stuff going on here at Iowa Speedway. We're going to talk to Jimmy Smalll in turn number 4 to really get an idea of what is all going on today, because they've really added to the pre-race and post-race festivities for the entire weekend. It's not just show up and watch a race and then see an okay local country artist or rock artist play a concert, and then you come back the next day, 2 hours before green flag, do the fan walk. They've got a ton of stuff going on, and we were out in front for probably a good 2.5, 3 hours yesterday, just walking around enjoying the festivities.
Oh, and then after it was over, rocked out with Montgomery Gentry for a while. Didn't stay for the whole show because we had stuff to do, but stayed for most of it. It was an amazing show. And by the way, Dan, I haven't forgotten, you're getting on the mechanical bull this afternoon.
Nope. My health insurance called. I can't do it.
Oh, yeah, come on.
All right, turn number 2 just around the corner. We're going to talk to Hall of Famer Rusty Wallace about Iowa Speedway, his experience, and what we're going to have today. We'll be back here on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs, online at joeskarting.com.
Driving home from work, you try to beat your best time. Even though your neighbor started mowing first, you finish first. And when you see the shortest checkout line, you race to it. That's because there's a race fan in all of us. Experience a different kind of race at Iowa Speedway on May 18th for the NASCAR Nationwide Series 250. Tickets start at $20. Buy your tickets at iowaspeedway.com or call 866-RUSTY-GO.
This is Andrew from Kwasniewski Auto Parts. Kwasniewski Auto Parts is an insurance-quality used parts supplier that can match your foreign or domestic car or truck needs. If you have a damaged or broke-down car or truck, we guarantee a clean and quality part in next-day fashion. Kwasniewski Auto Parts, your neighborhood premium recycled parts supplier. Call any Kwasniewski Auto Parts salesman today by dialing 402-731-4592 or visit us at 5040 I Street in Omaha. Kwasniewski Auto Parts, our quality used parts will match your car or truck's needs.
Joe's Karting is the Metro's fastest indoor karting facility. With karts that can reach 45 miles an hour because they rip the governors out and design the track to be fun yet challenging. This isn't your typical amusement park go-kart track. This is white-knuckle, full-throttle racing at its best. It's time to get to Joe's and find out what everybody's raving about. Located just off 23rd Avenue in Council Bluffs, or online at joeskarting.com and on Facebook, too. Get to Joe's today and unleash your inner race car driver.
For 50 years, Eagle Raceway has been pushing the limits of dirt track racing. Saturday nights, come see the Midwest Best Battle at the fastest third-mile track. Gates open at 5:30 for IMCA Modifieds, Sport Compacts, Hobby Stocks, Sport Mods, and Race Saver Sprint Cars. Eagle kicks their season off on April 19th with the Icebreaker Challenge, featuring the debut of the Race Saver Sprint Cars. Located just 10 minutes east of Lincoln on Highway 34 and online at eagleraceway.com.
We're working the High Line into Turn 2 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting, online at joeskarting.com.
Hi, I'm Ty Dillon, driver the number 3 Bass Pro Shops Westco Yingling Light Lager Chevrolet in the NASCAR Nationwide Series, and you're listening to The Front Stretch.
And welcome back to it, heading into turn number 2 here on the front stretch. Turn 2 brought to you by Kwasniewski Auto Parts, online at KwasniewskiAutoParts.com and 51st and I Street. I'd be remiss if I didn't tell you we are T-minus 1 week away from the Charlie Clark Memorial at I-80 Speedway. I-80Speedway.com for more information. Tickets are available at the gate. Let's get back into it. Rusty Wallace joined us yesterday in the media center, and we got to have a little conversation with him. All right, we're sitting here talking with Rusty Wallace, obviously a famous driver in the NASCAR Series, retired now, and by the way, a Hall of Fame driver, as many people know. Congratulations on that.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. It was, I was able to be lucky enough to win a lot of races in NASCAR, but when my career was over and they put me in the Hall of Fame, that was the highlight of my racing career, that's for sure.
Does it ever get old hearing that Hall of Fame driver? Congratulations. Did you ever get old hearing that?
No, it doesn't. I like it. It feels real good. And it's just the people have been very nice to me ever since that's happened. And you can call yourself a Bristol winner, a Richmond winner, or whatever. When they call you Hall of Famer, it pretty well covers all of motorsports.
Which actually leads me to my first question. 55 wins, 89 champion. When you guys were running short tracks way out years ago, did you ever think you would have the successful career you had and be a Hall of Famer?
Well, you would hope so. I mean, back then when I first started, we didn't have a Hall of Fame. So it never was on my mind. But when I kept hearing about the Hall of Fame, I'm like, man, I'd like to get there. And then I started thinking, what is the Hall of Fame really about? I mean, what do you have to do to get in the Hall of Fame expediently? And when I started hearing some of the people put in it, I went, wow, those guys are pioneers. They've done incredible jobs. But I wonder, if they're going to go by numbers, victories, man, I ought to be getting in pretty soon, But I didn't know if the Hall of Fame was about just numbers. It was about, maybe, in my opinion, it still is about people that have done a lot of great things for the sport. You got Rick Hendrick, a car owner, Richard Childress, a car owner for Dale Earnhardt Sr. You got, Bruton Smith, track owners. And then I started seeing some of those guys like that going in. But when they called me up and they said, hey, Rusty Wallace is in, and he's in the first bout, I'm like, wow, that's great. So they did go by the numbers and go by what I've done with different things, whether it's designing the track or working with the NASCAR Foundation. They told me there was many different criteria that got me in the Hall, and it felt really good.
Well, talking about some of the things that you were doing in your career, you just mentioned designing it. You're a big reason why we're all here today and getting ready for a great race this afternoon for the Nationwide Series and the Get to Know Newton 250. And talk a little bit about, we've talked about how you came up with the design of the track, but one thing we were kind of talking about on the way over here was, why Newton, Iowa? Why bring it into the middle of the country and not somewhere other than Iowa?
Well, that's a really good question. I do get that question asked a lot, and I got a real simple answer for it. The investors that dreamed up the idea to build a racetrack, they were from here, and they wanted the racetrack here. And they said, we got a great location. And here, why? It's because it's right next to Interstate 80, and we have the Newton Airport right here. And the way the land falls, we foresee building a racetrack where you can bury the seats in the side of the hillside and actually have more of a theater feel seating where you can actually look down at the racetrack. So when they called me up, they said, hey, we hear, obviously you're the guy that's won the most races on short tracks in NASCAR, and that's the reason we're calling you to see if you'll design our track. So I said, I would love to, but I would really love to do what I want to do, and that would be, the resources I need to build it. Let me design the shape I want to build. And they said, sure, and that's what happened.
Now, the other question we were talking about on the way over here, and Dan and I have said this several times, you go to Kansas, you go to Daytona, wherever, you have this big open area. I mean, it's a really kind of a big deal when you walk in there. Here, it's more like you're going to your local Saturday night short track. Did you have any input into the rest of the facilities, or was it just the track itself?
No, my design phase was basically the racetrack itself. Now, all the suites and where the medical buildings went and stuff like that, I had input in it, yes. But I'm not the one who designed all that. Paxton Waters and a fellow by the name of Andy Girdham and another fellow by the name of Andy Vertrees, who helped build the Kentucky Speedway. Those were the first pioneers here. Those are the guys that I personally work with, and they supported me for what I did. But once we get out of design, once we get outside the design of the track surface itself, the banking angle, stuff like that, I had minimal design in that, everything else. They did the suites. Some of the owners of the Iowa Speedway originally did the colors and stuff like that. So I would tell you, though, I was involved in all that. It was a big team. Everybody was involved. We were all in. I was here every Tuesday for 16 months on this track. I love it. And Newton, Iowa, and Des Moines area is like a second home to me. I got a lot of great friends up here, and I love coming here.
We love having you. It's a great experience. And now with the race coming up this afternoon, it's the big first race for the new owners. Talk about the ownership transfer a little bit and your continued role in Iowa Speedway.
Yeah, that's a great question. I used to own a small portion of the Iowa Speedway. I owned 5% of the track, and at one point I owned 10%. As the track was changing owners from the Manat family to the Clement family, my ownership stake changed a little bit. But, I've never paid any attention at all to the ownership stake. I've got a real nice personal service contract with the racetrack. I'm the track designer. I'm the ambassador for the track. I do most of the media work, advance and media work for the racetrack. And everybody knows that this is a track that I love, and it's kind of my baby. The address of the track is 3333 Rusty Wallace Boulevard,
That's got to be cool to have a track that's your name is the address.
Yeah. The governor proclaimed me an official Iowan, so there's a lot of cool things for Iowa. So I don't, even when NASCAR bought it, I will tell you, I thought I might feel different when I came here, when I landed 2 nights ago, because I haven't been here 4 months. When I got here, and I looked around, and nothing changed. My name was still all over. My jobs were still the same. In fact, NASCAR and the France family actually had me doing more than I've generally done. I mean, I just hosted a big question and answer period for some of the NASCAR Nationwide Series drivers a little while ago, which was fun. And I'm still talking on behalf of all our sponsors and thanking them and doing that. But I will tell you, the role of a track designer, and I've kind of labeled myself the ambassador, because people keep telling me that's what I am. I said, okay, whatever. But it's a big job. It really is. But it's a job I enjoy.
That Q&A session you just talked about with some of the Nationwide drivers, go into that a little bit. Were they asking you about how to go into one and how to take the track, or was it just kind of a get to know Rusty a little bit?
No, what it was, we had Brian Scott there, and we had Elliott Sadler, and we had Cale Connolly, and we had Brendan Gaughan. And they've all had great experience at this particular racetrack. And Elliott winning and Brian Scott almost winning Richmond, which is a track kind of like this track. So I had some really good questions to ask those guys. And they really went in depth. We talked about the track, talked about how their practice sessions went. Brian Scott was here a couple of weeks ago doing the tire test with Goodyear, reconfirming the patching on the racetrack and all that stuff. And so we had a big conversation like that. It really wasn't, hey, Rusty, how do I get around the racetrack? They got to figure it out, trust me.
Now, when you did land a couple nights ago, and you said that for the most part everything was the same, do you see any differences at all and you did say it was the France family that bought it earlier, not NASCAR itself, but any changes that they've made and any changes you see coming down the pike that might benefit the Speedway?
Well, the first thing I saw right away was colors. They changed a lot of the colors. If you go inside the Newton Suite was always kind of, the Newton Club, was always kind of cool, but it had a yellowy orange and a red paint scheme to it, which was something really bold and exciting when we first built it. That was back in 2006. But they came in and painted it lighter gray and some blues and stuff to match their offices that are in Daytona Beach, Florida. Okay. So now when you walk into the Newton Club, it kind of looks like the same feel as when I go to Daytona. And then I went up to some of the suites, particularly the owner suites, where we have a lot of our sponsors come up and gather and thank, and some of our close friends. They changed all the colors in there. I noticed that they have hung brand new pictures throughout the facilities. and some beautiful floating frames.
Yeah, we noticed that too. The media center here is a lot different than when we were here last September for the Truck Series.
And so the bones are still the same, the walls and all that stuff, but it's just the colors a little bit different. They simplified some things and they made it more neutral. There was a ton of pictures of myself and Stan Clement in construction of the racetrack. Been hanging on the walls for a long time. Now they've replaced a lot of that with drivers and action shots, which I like. It is a proper thing to do.
This past February, you were able to jump back into your famous number 2.
Yep.
Brad Keselowski stepped aside. From what I understood, supposed to only be a few laps. It turned out to be most of the day, and you actually had, what was it, one of the top 2 fastest times of the day? How did that feel getting back behind the wheel and being able to still be that fast?
It felt wonderful. I got a cold call from Roger Penske and both Keselowski and said, hey, look, it might be cool to have you come down and get back in the car for a test. You know, no points, pretty easy place to test at. You want to do it? And I said, heck yeah. It'd be great to dust it off and get a little PR and do some promotional things. But I went down there. I went over to the race team, got fitted up for the seat. Brand new uniform, brand new helmet, shoes, gloves, the whole deal. Got down there. I looked brand new from head to toe, man. It was pretty funny. So then I got in the car and I went, well, it's coming back. I'm feeling everything. It's amazing how you get out of the car, and you've been out for like 8 years now. And when I got back in, I felt like I never left. And so I got there and run my first session. I come in, I'm P1, position 1, fastest car in the track. And I'm like, hey, this is really cool, you know.
Maybe I shouldn't have hung it up.
Yeah. So then, so Brad was real supportive, and he had a special helmet made for me that he gave me. And the whole team was really good to me. And when it was all said and done, 4.5 hours later, I never got out of the car in 4.5 hours. I got in at noon, about noon 10. That's 12:10, right?
Yeah.
And after I got out of the car, about 4:30, and I caught a 6 o'clock flight back to Charlotte that night, I remember. But I was able to stay in the car pretty well all day long. And I wasn't scheduled to do that. I was scheduled to be in and out. But the very first day of testing, we got completely rained out, and they had to cram it all into one day. And so I kept running, and the crew chief, Paul, came up and said, Rusty, do you mind staying in the car? And I said, no. He said, man, you're giving us really good information. It's just great. If you can just stay in. I said, okay. So I stayed in all day long.
Now, the follow-up question I have for that is the new generation car they're running now, how did you feel that it was different from what you ran back in 04, 05, which would be your last couple of years running?
Really good question. It felt completely different. It felt like I was running much lower to the ground. And the engine sounded real smooth and fine-tuned. And I think the sound that I was hearing was fuel injection, because we've always had carburetors before. Yeah. And the carburetors, the fuel in a carburetor, the way it distributes it to each cylinder is not as precise as an injected car. And so now with the injection, the engines are much smoother. They were calmer. It turned a lot more RPM, because when we went to Daytona and Talladega in the past with the restrictor plates, we would only turn those engines 6,800 to 7,200 RPM. Mm-hmm. I'm out there running around at 9,000 RPM. So we returned a lot more RPM.
Right.
The car run about 195, I think, what I ran. And it's laying right on the ground, because now the new rules are it's got the splitter really low to the ground. Mm-hmm. And those guys got that stuff all scienced out. They did a hell of a job. So it was a big-time different feel.
Now, back here at Iowa Speedway, obviously we're getting ready for the Newton 250, but to get to know Newton 250. But outside of just what we do with the race weekends, there's also the Rusty Wallace driving experience. And I kind of got to wonder, since you've got a driving experience named after you, do you ever just decide, you know what, I'm going to go up there and turn a couple laps?
Yeah, I did. In fact, I was in Atlanta, Georgia last week, and I spent 7 hours in the car in my Rusty Wallace Racing Experience cars giving guys rides. And the group that hired us to do that was Volkswagen and Audi.
Oh, wow.
So we had Audi and Volkswagen there, and I was giving their executives rides. And so the people that we were giving rides to was Volkswagen Credit Incorporated. So we drove all day long. We had like 12 cars running, I think it was. And we had 2 of them quit running. We had backup cars, and I drove, and it felt good. But if you haven't heard about our school, it's called the Rusty Wallace Racing Experience. Go to racewithrusty.com. That's racewithrusty.com. Look at our schedule. We're all over the country. We have got ourselves now we have accumulated 81 cars so far. And last year we did 370 some dates. And so that means we were doing three different racetracks in one day. We had groups around the country. So that was fun. and a lot of people are commenting on it. I will tell you the toughest thing we have with that many races is keeping these things maintained nice enough, though. But our team's working real hard on that. So we got many stops here at the Iowa Speedway with the experience. We're down there at Talladega. We're down at Atlanta. We're in Charlotte. We're all over the place with it.
Yeah, my brother came up here and did it. I think it was summer of last year, of 2013, and he called me after he got done. And he goes, "Oh my God, that was amazing!"
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a really neat deal, and the cars run fantastic. They do. And if you've never been in a car before, you get to ride and have a driver drive you, and you're like, I can't believe they're running this close to the wall or running this fast.
It's such a fantastic track, such a fantastic facility. I can't say it enough. It is the perfect mix between your NASCAR action and your Friday and Saturday night dirt track. You guys did a great job with the facility. You do a continuous job being probably one of the best ambassadors ever.
Well, that's awful nice of you to say that, and I'm really happy with this racetrack. And for just little tech stuff that people might not know, this is the only 7/8 mile size racetrack in the world. This track is 7/8 miles length. It's got 12 degrees of banking on the bottom, 13 in the middle, and 14 up top. It's got 3 different angles. And the reason we did that, so people can run side by side and make it easier to pass. And I'll tell you, it's worked.
And you mentioned it that before it was a ringing endorsement that this is the first track that the France family has purchased that is an oval.
Yes, that is, and it makes me feel so good. I think that's a great endorsement and a good testimonial to say, hey, look, we like the design of the track. We love the feel of it. We love the excitement and the racing it puts on. And when they heard the track was for sale, the family looked at each other and said, let's buy that sucker. And that was it, and it felt good.
All right, we've been talking with Rusty Wallace. Get out here today. Get to iowaspeedway.com for more ticket information. Just get on I-80. Head your way east. It's only 2 hours. You're going to be here in no time. Get to the ticket window and make sure you get here for the Newton. Get to know Newton 250. We'll be back on the front stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting in Council Bluffs. Online at joeskarting.com.
We have all been there before. Broken car part in your hand and some snot-nosed punk behind the counter has no idea what he is talking about, but he guarantees that this part will fix your car. You pay an arm and a leg for the replacement, get it home, and sure enough, it doesn't fit your car. Now, learn from your mistake and give an experienced salesperson at Kwasniewski Auto Parts a call today at 402-731-4592. Kwasniewski Auto Parts will get you back on the road with your arms and legs still attached.
If you love wings, if you love rings, and all kinds of other tempting things, great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the front stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
Time to grab another tear-off and make your move. We're headed into Turn 3 on the front stretch, presented by Joe's Karting.
Hi, this is Rusty Wallace live from the Iowa Speedway, and you're listening to the front stretch.
Turn number 3 brought to you by Iowa Speedway, our favorite little track just to the east on I-80. And if you are listening in Omaha, get your day ready to go. You are T-minus 2 hours away from the Get to Know Newton 250 for the Nationwide Series, and it's time you head over to Iowa Speedway and find out what you've been missing in all these years. iowaspeedway.com or 866-RUSTY-GO. But all of that information is just obsolete at this point in time. Just get on the interstate, head east, T-minus 2 hours, head to the ticket window. There's seats still available, and there are a few seats where there's some instructive views, but there's very few. Very few. They're beautiful seats. All right, earlier yesterday afternoon, we were able to sit down with Brendan Gaughan for – this has got to be one of my more favorite interviews. Yes, Rusty's the big name, but Brendan's a very excitable, easy interview, and you're going to hear it right here. Sitting in the hauler for the number 62 of Brendan Gaughan. Thank you so much for joining us, Brendan.
No, appreciate you guys having me on.
Getting ready for the Get to Know Newton 250 today. Talk a little bit about the number 62 car.
You know, we had a full day of testing yesterday. It's one of the few NASCAR, they give us very few tests during the year. They chose Iowa as one of our tests, and we came in, everything worked like it was supposed to. We unloaded off the trailer. It was great. Our engineers had some things that they wanted us to try, so we got to go through a whole sweep of things. So today in practice, we didn't do much, just kind of kind of yesterday in practice, just kind of hung out. Basically did a couple things, tested one set of shocks we wanted to try, and really that was about it. Just a few things because we think we got most of it done on Friday, and I think our South Point Chevy's pretty darn good.
Obviously, you were here last September for the truck race, as we were also. Didn't quite end that well.
Yeah, but we were bad to the bone. Our Chevrolet truck, both races last year in the trucks, we were awesome. I mean, both of them unloaded great. We were top 3 in both races. Each time we had some incidences that were not of our own making. But Shane Wilson knows how to set something up for this track. So does Richard Childress Racing. You look at what Austin Dillon did in both the Iowa races last year. So Shane Wilson, knows that I love this. This is one of the few short tracks that I actually like. So for me, it works out well. Fits my style. Fits Shane. We're coming here with high expectations.
Now, what is it about Richard Childress Racing? Because you have found a home there for quite a while that seems to fit you and your driving style.
Well, it's not so much, just RCR. Each track changes, but the main thing at RCR is you don't have to worry about the equipment. You don't have to worry about what you're being given. You can go a lot of places. People love to cry and whine and bitch and moan. You've never really heard me say anything about those things. I appreciate each opportunity I got, but each step along the way, I was with a team that was trying to buy engineering from Richard Childress, or trying to buy engineering from TRD, or trying to buy information from Chevrolet. You're never the team that sold it. At RCR, we're the team that sells it. We're the team that gets it and then gives it to everybody else. So, it works out really well. It's a fun place to be. I love the family atmosphere of it with Richard and the grandsons and Mike Dillon, and it's a place that fits me. It fits my style, and I'm happy being here.
Now that's something you also hear with a lot of the big time teams. Also, is that there is a lot of sharing information back and forth with the teams. Is this no different? You can go to either Ty Dillon's car or any of the other cars and kind of share information back and forth.
Well, no, that's what you do when you're on a team that functions properly. Is it runs as one team. You're sitting in our lounge right now, and we're getting ready for pre-race stuff, and you're sitting next to one of my engineers, both my engineers. One of them is inputting data for simulation for all 3 teams. My other one has the setup sheet for all 3 teams up right now, actually 4 this weekend. And, so this is a team that, we work on everything. We have the main simulation guy is doing, I'm looking at his screen right now. He's got 2, 3, 62, and 33. He'll run each sim, make sure they're all looking. We input, my engineer, Bruce Schlicker, back there is inputting his data so all the other engineers and all the trailers can see it. We work as a team.
That's almost hard to get used to. That in such
it's nice.
Well, it's as a guy on the outside, it's such a you're bred to understand this is such a competitive sport. I mean, it was 20 years ago. You held on to every single piece of detail, and yet you're able to look at all of your teammates' information.
We still do. It's not like we're out there telling Joe Gibbs Racing or Penske Racing or any of that. We're here to make sure. That's why you see crew members sign contracts with people, and they can't go to other teams for X amount of time. Because this sport evolves so quickly. You want to have whatever advantage you can get. So, in a matter of 6 months, the evolution changes. Yeah, so that's why, non-compete contracts are normally about 6 months to a year, because that way it's probably all changed by that point. So this is great being here. You got guys that they know what they need to do. You've got the right engineering. You got Chevrolet backing. You've got, great sponsored teams. You got great sponsors on each one. The drivers that talk to each other, it makes a big difference.
Talk about practice. You'd mentioned that since you got to come and test, you kind of had your car set up and you felt really good with it. Is it nice to go out there and just kind of track some laps and to test a couple of different things rather than be chasing the car? It's a much more relaxed atmosphere.
Well, I've been in the sport a long time. I know what made us good back in the early 2000s, the late 90s, stuff like that. I like testing. I wish we got to do more testing like we did back in the day, because that's how you got better. As a driver, as a team, as engineers, as crew chiefs, that's how you learned. So having a good test day, it means a lot, because it's like, hey, this is where we get to try things we can't try in the 2 hours of practice we get on a regular weekend. So it worked out really well. But the main thing, no matter if it was the old days, new days, it's how you unload. If you unload and are trying to find something or trying to hit on a setup and you miss and you got to work on it, you lose a lot of time. We unloaded, and that's what's so great about the team structure and knowing you have the stuff like at RCR. We unloaded and we're quick right off the bat, could make a few fine-tune adjustments to make that setup work better. Then we went to another setup. made it work better. Then went to another setup, made it work better, and got to choose where we wanted to go instead of, oh crap, that one didn't work, what do we do? And having to chase your tail all day. It's just, it's the knowledge, it's the intelligence that gets put into things, and it's, in the end, the human capital, the people that put it together do it right.
Do you choose the three different, you test with the three different setups and then you fine tune them? Do you go with 3 or 4 different types of setups because you don't know what the weather condition is going to be like?
No, you want to try stuff. You're always wanting to try things. If you're sitting on your butt, sitting on your laurels saying, oh, we're the fastest team, and run the same setup, somebody is going to pass your butt. So, you have to always constantly be trying new and better things and going the next step and having an engineer say, hey, this makes no sense, but try it for us. Having a crew chief say, this is something we did 20 years ago, but you know what? Let's see what it does. You have to experiment. You have to try those things. If you just sit there and rest on your butt and say, oh, we're the best team out here, you're going to be saying that for a very short period of time.
Now, going back to Iowa Speedway, you said this is one of the few short tracks you actually really, really like. What is it about the track that you like so much?
If I knew, I'd tell them to build more. I think to me, everybody wants to make, Rusty helped build this place and design it, and we all know how great Rusty was at Richmond, and I was driving for Rusty Wallace when this track had its debut, and I remember going, oh, crap, another frickin' Richmond, I'm done. It really is not like Richmond. To me, it reminds me more of a pseudo, almost like Irwindale on the West Coast. It runs with multiple grooves. You have 2 and even 3 grooves of racing, especially in 3 and 4. I love the fact that it's bumpy and it's got that difficulty keeping splitters, variances, so that helps this place work and drive, that you have to drive it different than like a Richmond. And it doesn't drive like it. It's a speedway style thing. You go into 3 and 4, you use very little brake, you roll the center as hard as you can, get on the throttle as aggressively as you can, where a lot of short tracks like a Martinsville, hammer the brakes, stop that thing, get it to turn, get it to point, and thump. Here, it's get off that brakes, roll as hard as you can, crack that throttle open, keep the rolling momentum, and then get as aggressive you can, as quick as you can to be the best one. So it just is a different style of short track than you get at some places, and it fits mine. It fits me. I like it.
Now, you did say Irwindale obviously kind of got to start making your name over in the West Coast. I believe it's K&N West Series and whatnot. Talk about some of the differences between running out west or running just all over the country like you do now with the Nationwide.
Well, I haven't been in the West Series for 15 years. It's been a long time since I was out there. But just this is what we do for a living. It's been my life for a very long time, and you get used to it. The hard part is you get older now. You got kids, and leaving the kids a lot, and so this sport is very difficult on families and on a family life. But it affords us to do a lot of things in life. So you have to put up with the goods and the bads, and it avails me a lot of time to go to Disneyland on a Monday and a Tuesday with my kids, but it also means that I got to spend a lot of weekends and some weeks away from them.
Brendan Gaughan, driver the number 62 South Point Chevrolet for RCR Racing. Brendan, appreciate your time.
Yep, thank you guys. Have fun.
And again, that was Brendan Gaughan, driver the number 62, qualified P10 for today's race for the Get to Know Newton 250 here at Iowa Speedway. And PJ, you were kind of pointing it out a little bit. Brendan was he was flailing in his hauler when we were talking to him.
He was sitting there, but his arms and hands were going. He was talking with his hands. The guy wore me out. And just the time we were there, he flat wore me out.
I thought I was going to get judo chopped. Later on in the day, we got to sit down with Dylan Kwasniewski, driver of the number 42 Target Chevrolet, up and up. Target up their sponsorship with Turner Scott Motorsports for the Up and Up brand, and Dylan Kwasniewski was the benefactor of that, and we talked to Dylan. In the pits at Iowa Speedway with Dylan Kwasniewski, now the driver number 42 Target Up and Up car. Dylan, how's the car feeling so far on Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, it feels awesome. These guys did a good job. I got used to Zipadelli pretty quick and the rest of the team, so I'm pretty confident. I feel like we've got a good piece. Just got to stay out of trouble and have a smart race with this Target Up and Up car.
Now, obviously, judging by what we were handed to the media center, you were fastest in practice earlier today. Do you think you're going to need any more tweaks or anything to do for qualifying later tonight?
I think we're going to be pretty good. We'll see how it shakes out, see what the rest of the cars do. But we got a good lap on the track. I feel really good in our race setup, so just got to make sure we take care of the tires and stay there the entire race, and I think we'll have a solid finish.
Now, obviously, you are the only person to ever win the K&N West Series title in 2012 and then the East Series title in 2013. Now you're driving with Turner Scott Motorsports, normally in the 31 Rockstar Energy car. But due to the All-Star race tonight and a few other obligations, you'll be in the 42, which Kyle Larson normally drives.
Yep.
Talk a little bit about the difference between the K&N East and West Series and the Nationwide Series and running with Turner Scott.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a big step in competition, that's for sure. I mean, you're going to a national level, and these guys are all good. I mean, there's no slouches throughout the entire field, so you got to be on the top of your game. If you miss a setup just a little bit, make a small mistake, you'll end up having a real bad weekend. So it's tough. It's been a little rough these past couple of races for sure, but I know we got a good team, a good car, long season ahead of us that we can make up on these points, and just got to start getting good finishes and finishing all the laps.
Well, and talk a little bit about the learning curve between the K&N East and West Series, which is they're old. Are they Cup cars or Nationwide cars they used to be?
They're all Nationwide cars, yes.
Okay. So the learning curve between that and what you have now in these Camaros.
Yeah, it's a whole different ball game. I mean, you got a lot of aero that comes into play that you not normally used to running. Completely different tire. You're running on a radial tire this time instead of a bi-spy. So all the characteristics are different. I mean, you're still racing a car, so you'll have some of the same feel of that, but it's a completely different ball game. It's really tough. Definitely got to make sure you don't bust the tires at all. And once you do, it's not going to come back. So, like I said, it's tough. But if you do get it right and you start getting used to these cars, then I think it'll be fast.
We're talking with Dylan Kwasniewski in the number 42 pits here at Iowa Speedway. And Dylan, I'm always kind of fascinated with this is a sport that, like most, but some of it seems like you guys are tapped at a younger age to perform at a high level. Is there ever times where you're just get like the pressure is just unbearable?
Yeah, it's definitely tough. I mean, there's constantly a microscope under us, especially the young drivers. Being our rookie year, they expect you to come out and just completely blaze up the field. But it's tough, and when you have bad races, they think there's mistakes or because of rookie mistakes, and I definitely have made some rookie mistakes, that's for sure. But like I said, everything's just more under the microscope. They look at things closely. So if you do good, then it's going to be heightened that much more. If you do bad, then they're going to think you did that much worse. So it's all pretty tough, but the pressure pushes you to try to go out there and succeed.
Now, you made big news earlier this year when you signed a developmental deal with Ganassi Racing. Talk a little bit about that and the steps you're going to be taking from here to get into Ganassi Racing in the Cup Series.
Yeah, I mean, definitely taking one step at a time. I mean, our main focus is on this Nationwide Series, at least be in this for a couple years. Hopefully we can have some success, and then definitely get to utilize the Ganassi component and just to be a part of an organization that great and to have drivers that are that good. It's great for my career. It's great for my improvement, and I'm really excited to be a part of these guys.
Now, kind of a follow-up question: how much of a help is it to be able to lean on, say, Kyle Larson now, when there's a good chance he will probably be your teammate at Ganassi Racing later down the road?
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean, having a teammate like Kyle, where he's young, he went through the same exact thing I did last year. Went from the K&N Series up to Nationwide Series. He's a good guy. I'm friends with him off the track, so we got a great relationship, and I can talk to him. He's not definitely not shy to give me advice on what he feels. So I think it's great. He's a great teammate, great competitor, and I'm excited to race against him for years to come.
You guys are constantly pulled in every direction when it comes to when you arrive at the racetrack. You've got appearances, autograph signing, sponsor obligations. You got to meet with this pesky thing called the media from time to time. What do you do to relax and to kind of pull yourself away and just kind of vent a little bit?
Listen to music, definitely, and working out. I mean, I'm sick now, so going for runs is kind of tough. I feel like my lungs are about to burst, but I'll go for runs on race day, try to keep my mind off of it. And like I said, listen to music. So that's my time where you can just zone out, get in your own mode, not have to worry about anything else, and just to get in that competitive spirit and ready to go for the race.
We heard you're a bit of a practical joker.
Yeah, I mean, I like to pull some jokes. I just like to have a good time with the guys. I mean, I just saw Ty walk by. I threw something at his head, got a good shot at him, and then I was sitting in the porta potty, and I'm like, somebody is screwing with me right now, or somebody's opened the door, and then I tried to open it, and I got stuck with tires. So I mean, I do some jokes, try to keep busy at the track, but I do get it back, that's for sure. I could have sworn, I'm like, either somebody keeps opening and closing the door next to me, or something's screwing with me, and then sure enough, I went to go open it and had to kick the tires out of the way.
But doesn't that help the camaraderie between you and the other teams and you and the other drivers, to be able to go play pranks like that? No, it's just all in good fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to have a good relationship with these guys off the track and it's one thing once you actually do get on the track, but, you respect people more. You know how they're going to race. You, like I said, give them a lot more respect. So when you got a relationship like that on the track, you're going to race them clean. You're going to race them hard, but make sure you give them the room that they deserve.
Last question for you before we wrap it up. Obviously, you've made your way up in the Nationwide Series. You're working your way up into the Cup Series, so I think it's time that you could offer some of these younger guys some advice. We have a lot of dirt track drivers that love to listen to our show, and so what's a piece of advice you could give those guys that are trying to make their way into ARCA and up and through the series?
Yeah, I mean, I've never raced dirt, and that's one thing that I want to get into, but I think just the biggest thing is to stick at it, There was a lot of times where I was like, is this worth it? I got to make a lot of sacrifices. It's a lot of time and effort. And, in the long run, it is. I've still got a long ways to go to get up to the Cup Series and still have a ton of sacrifices to make. But at the end of the day, when you actually do put in that work and you get up to the point where I'm at right now, it feels awesome, to know that you're just one step away from getting the love that you want to reach and achieving your goals. So just to stick to it. If it gets rough, you got to pull through it, and there's going to be hard times. There's going to be hard races, but just keep going at it, and you'll be good.
All right, Dylan Kwasniewski, driver the number 42 Target, up and up car for Turner Scott Motorsports this weekend. Good luck, Dylan.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Qualified P5 for today's Get to Know Newton 250 here at Iowa Speedway. Very good interview and all-around nice guy.
Well, yeah, and he's a very bright kid, too, and very talented driver. He's a history maker, the only person to win both the East and West Series for the K&N Series. So he's got a really good future, a bright future with Ganassi Racing, and I think him and Kyle Larson will be tearing it up here for years to come.
All of a sudden, Ganassi Racing became someone to look out for in the future when they signed Kyle Larson and Dylan Kwasniewski to developmental deals. They're going to be a force to reckon with, and I have a feeling that in about 10 or 15 years, we're going to be talking about them challenging Hendrick Motorsports and Joe Gibbs Racing as the top-tier echelon for the sports. Want to make sure and say thank you to our friend Jim Marsh for taking time out of his afternoon to take pictures for us during those interviews. You could see him on the Front Stretch Facebook page, proof that we actually did talk to these guys. And a lot of the back of your head, PJ.
Yeah, those hollers, those lounges and those hollers are not as big as you think.
Nope.
And I'm kind of a big guy, so.
Jimmy Smalll about to join us just around the corner in turn number 4. We'll be back here on the Front Stretch.
So you raced your car this weekend and it ended up on the wrecker. Alter Metal Recycling in Council Bluffs wants to remind you it's not a total loss. Bring it by their modern scrap metal recycling facility and get top dollar for your car. Alter has a full concrete unloading zone, so you don't have to deal with muddy loading zones, and pays on the spot for your car. Alter Metal Recycling is open 6 days a week, with locations in Omaha, Lincoln, Grand Island, and more. Find your location online at altertrading.com.
Quaker Steak and Lube is the official watering hole for the Front Stretch and the best place to catch all the NASCAR action today. Open at 11 a.m. with delivery available to Council Bluffs.
Great times, great food, get to Quaker Steak and Lube.
This week's young gun is Brianna Mitchell, a 15-year-old freshman from Westwood Community School in Sloan. Brianna was hooked on racing from her first trip to Shelby County Speedway to watch Dan McKeegan in his A-Mod. That very night, Dan gained a new pit crewman, and Brianna hasn't left the pits since. Now, in her 5th season of racing karts, Brianna has already claimed several feature wins, along with a points championship. Brianna has raced at Bobcat Speedway, Lancaster Events Center, Little Sunset Speedway, and more. And, of course, has laid down some blazing times at Joe's Karting. Brianna hopes to keep racing, but has the dream of moving up to drive a modified stock car. Along with racing, Brianna enjoys basketball and singing in the school show choir competition group. Brianna isn't a girl that sits by and paints her nails while someone works on her car. She's elbow deep in repairs, maintenance, and setups, all while still making sure she makes the honor roll. Keep your eye out for Brianna Mitchell driving the Z62 car. She's this week's young gun on the Front Stretch.
Get ready for the victory lap as we make our way into Turn 4 on the Front Stretch. Presented by Joe's Karting. Online at joeskarting.com.
And we are just about ready to wrap this baby up. Make sure if you have a young gun you want to be featured a part of the Front Stretch, email us, frontstretch590@gmail.com. Our goal there is just to make sure and highlight those young and up-and-coming drivers, preferably under 18, but maybe they're not. It doesn't really matter. We just want to make sure and get the spotlight on some of them younger drivers, because then they can get the confidence in themselves, and then maybe they can make their way up to the K&N Series and up to Nationwide.
I'll tell you, I'm going to take a second right now. We had some great hospitality last September. Iowa Speedway has stepped it up tenfold with the new ownership and everything. I mean, everybody has just been so amazing this entire weekend. And we actually have someone who they all answer to sitting right next to us here, President of the Iowa Speedway, Jimmy Smalll. Jimmy, welcome to the show.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
I promise no quiz today.
All right.
You passed flying colors.
Well, no one gave me the answers this time around, so I fail.
You mean to tell me you cheated?
Maybe.
We won't tell anybody that, especially the NASCAR tech officials. They're sticklers, right?
Yes.
All right, Jimmy Smalll, president of Iowa Speedway, joining us here in the media center at Iowa Speedway for the Get to Know Newton 250. Man, we've been talking about it so much over the last couple of weeks. I'm so excited to be back to my favorite little mix of a dirt track and a NASCAR track all in one, and it's in our backyard, just down I-80, about 2 hours past Des Moines, and then or 2 hours past Omaha. Just get past Des Moines, and it's right there. It's the second exit, and it can't get any easier to get into the track, get into your parking spot, and into the speedway.
Yeah, it really can't. And the benefit we have of being right off of I-80 is the way the track was built is we almost have a billboard built into this place. I mean, everyone can see it from driving by I-80, and we've got the great signs put together by the Department of Transportation, everything the city of Newton's done for us. So we're really happy with the way this place was built, and gosh, we're just really excited for today.
And you guys really went the extra mile, too, not just, hey, it's race weekend, let's put out some cones and let's hope traffic. You sat down with a lot of different authorities to make sure that the flow of traffic is going to be at its peak so that everyone just gets into the track safely and out of the track safely.
We did. We sat down with the Department of Transportation, with State Highway Patrol, as well as local officials here, and that's an annual meeting that we have in the spring, getting ready for each season, and we go through what happened in previous seasons, anything we can improve upon, and really all this speaks to the fan experience. I mean, we're not just talking about the fan experience on site here. We want to improve all aspects of it. So from the moment you get in your car and you're on your way to the speedway to the moment you leave, your whole experience is worthwhile and valuable.
Now, talk a little bit about some of the changes that you've made in the time that you've become president, and some of the changes that are going to be coming down here before too long to the Iowa Speedway.
Sure. Again, going back to the fan experience, everything's about driving value to the fans, making sure that they have a wonderful experience. Even before they hop in their cars coming out to Speedway, we want to make sure that the ticket purchasing process is more than standard. Exceeds expectations, and beyond that, the marketing program too. We want and we started with that this season with our "There's a Race Fan in All of Us" campaign. We want to provide a platform for fans to engage in, to identify racing in everyday life, and it's been a lot. It was a lot of fun to film that first shoot at the grocery store, but everything that we do wants to contribute to the culture, the attitude that we're building around here. So from tailgating to what they do in the grandstand, all the entertainment features that you may see out in the midway this weekend, we're very fortunate to have, and really pleased with the feedback we've received so far from our fans.
Some of that fan experience you'll be able to experience. Take a play on one of the mini classic arcade games. You can ride a mechanical bull. You can get your favorite autograph from a Nationwide Series driver. You can climb a rock wall. The Pizza Ranch Victory Lane celebration with Casey's Fan Walk passes rock out. Obviously, Montgomery Gentry was last night.
That Monster Energy stunt show was amazing. They got a quad, a dirt bike, and a snowmobile doing backflips and everything else. But and I'm going to admit real quick that I've done the grocery store shopping cart thing. But now, when you first became announced as president, I heard a radio interview where you were really excited to come to Newton and you felt really good about the community embracing you. How has your experience been since you have moved here?
It's been unbelievable. We, NASCAR, since they started racing here back in 2007, have always had a great experience here. And Wayne Naughton says it really well. He's never gone a trip out here. So Wayne Otten, I guess a little bit of background, series director for the Nationwide Series, and he's never come here on a weekend for racing, and even a test for that matter, and not gotten a pat on the back, a handshake from multiple people saying thank you for being here. So I think that demonstrates the appreciation from our fans, and I guess you can also say, look at the crowds that we've gotten here for our races too. I think between those two things, it's been, we've expected to have a warm welcome here, but it's exceeded those expectations.
Now, is there anything you could put your finger on as to why the fans are so, I guess, ravenous about their racing here that they're constantly making this a success every time?
Sure, I think the first thing is pointing out that Iowa per capita is the number one state as far as racetracks are concerned. So the most racetracks per state out of anywhere in the country.
Amen.
So there's a great tradition in motorsports here in the state, and we've got Knoxville, right down the road here, just 30 minutes from here, and they share a tremendous tradition in the dirt side, and we want to sort of share that tradition on the concrete and asphalt side. So really good compliments there between the two of them. But really, I think it boils down to having a tremendous facility that really produces great racing, and to have the only short track on the NASCAR national schedule west of the Mississippi. So it's closest thing to the West Coast, Southwest, etc. And for it to be a 7/8 mile oval, it's the only one of its kind, designed by Rusty Wallace, who's a incredible champion and Hall of Famer and wonderful short track racer. Those two combined with a good group of assets with the IndyCar Series, Nationwide Series, Truck Series, and the K&N Pro Series, we've got the fastest short track racing on the planet, and these guys come to play and really make a name for themselves.
Now, I fancy myself a bit of a foodie, and I have just been sharing some of the photos. Operation Devour has officially been set in place, and I believe my first invasion will be the Victory
Loin.
Yes, the Victory Loin. That will be my first operation, first phase of the operation. Man alive, giant pork tenderloin with bacon, tomato, cheese curds, and cheese sauce. Yum doesn't even begin to describe it.
I believe we weighed in at 2 pounds.
Oh my God.
Of sandwich, yeah.
Well, Phase 2 of the operation was the restrictor plate, waffle fries smothered in pulled pork, corn, bacon, pepper jack, nacho cheese, and jalapenos. I may not make it to that phase of it after hearing that the Victory Loin was 2 pounds.
Well, if you don't do the Victory Loin, there is the new chili dog that they have there too.
Yeah, they call it the Newt Dog, D-O-double-G. And it's a little ode to Newton and to the hot dog. And we've got I think it's a half-pound hot dog with pulled pork, bacon, and barbecue sauce on it. And so a little bit of background there. We went into the season and to complement the fan experience, to improve it in all facets of it, we looked at concessions. And so one morning a couple of months ago, I went downtown to Des Moines with Ovations, and they had their chef line up about 15 different items, and I thought I came prepared to eat those, but holy cow, that was a lot of food, and every one of them was delicious. So we started out with these three, and really happy with those. Personal favorites is the restrictor plate. Those nachos are incredible, and we're not going to stop there. I think you'll see more concessions items leading into next season.
Well, and the bootlegger lemonade is what you can wash it all down with. Comes in a mason jar esque glass that has Templeton rye lemonade, and you said triple sec?
I do believe these are triple stack or vodka they put in there. I actually had one last night. Very, very good drink. And it was really amazing because we were actually in the Newton Club and having a drink, whatever. By the start of the K&N series race, there was a few of them out there. By the end of it, before they were heading to the Montgomery Gentry show, there was a ton of those drinks out there. It looks like it's going to be a huge success, and it's a very, very good drink.
Yeah, they were tailgating the race, and then they went to the Newton Club and tailgated the concert. So glad to have two major events last night, and it sounds like everyone had a really good time.
And it was a really good time. And so far, it's been a fantastic weekend. And honestly, we haven't even got to what you could call the marquee event, which is going to be the Get to Know Newton 250 presented by Sherwin-Williams here at Iowa Speedway. Ryan Blaney on the pole, Sam Hornish Jr. on his outside, Michael McDowell, Regan Smith, Dylan Kwasniewski, Chase Elliott, Brian Scott, Elliott Sadler, Landon Castle, and Brendan Gaughan all starting on the top on the beginning. Some of your bigger names, Ty Dillon, Trevor Bayne, these guys qualified farther in the back of the pack, which frankly is going to spell good news for the race fan because these guys are going to get the handle on those cars early, and then they're going to start making their way through the field, so you're going to see a lot of passing and a lot of action.
Certainly, that's a benefit of having a short track and short track racing, and these guys are going to be able to bump in. There's multiple grooves throughout the racetrack, so they'll be able to pass when they need to. And the speeds will remain high. So we've got a lot of talent in the Nationwide Series. We had a lot of talent last night in the K&N Pro Series, and it's so cool to finally be here and put on a great show today. The weather's unbelievable too, by the way. I think we can all agree to that. So
finally, by the way, finally, the weather is cooperating. All right, don't even worry about Facebook pages at this point. Don't even worry about phone calls. Don't worry about this kind of stuff. Get to the ticket office at Rusty Wallace Drive, 3333 Western Wallace Drive in Newton, Iowa. It's Iowa Speedway, exit number 2 for Newton City Limit exits on I-80. Just get here and get your tickets. Tickets starting at
$25.
You can't beat that. $25 to get into a nationwide race.
Not for the action that you're going to end up seeing today. And the K&N race last night was proof of what we're going to see today. So,
Jimmy, thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy morning. We do appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, guys.
And we want to say thank you to all of you for joining us. And Quaker Steak and Lube, the official watering hole of the front stretch in Council Bluffs.
Beer cheese dip.
Located in Mid-American Drive in Council Bluffs. All NASCAR action is on the big screens at Quaker Steak and Lube. I'm sorry to do it, but I kind of have to. My mom was gracious enough to let me out of the birthday party last night. She had a birthday yesterday, and I skipped the birthday to come here to Iowa Speedway. So I got to say a big thank you to my mom for once again being great and understanding.
Happy birthday, Mom.
All right, everybody, get to Iowa Speedway. The Get to Know Newton 250 T-minus 4 hours away from the green flag.
Get here.
It's the front stretch presented by Joe's Karting on AM 590 Omaha's ESPN Radio. 90 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 Omaha's ESPN